We're joined by Bruce Griffin, Exec Chair of Sheffield Resources. Bruce, thanks for your time.
Thank you, good to be here.
Mineral sands in WA, building a mine, exciting times?
Yeah, very exciting. We only recently announced completion of the funding on the project, so we're fully funded as of about 10 days ago. And unusually for a company that's just announced the completion of funding, we're about 45% complete on the project. We've been in the fortunate position of having a strong joint venture partner who pre-funded their interest in the project. So we've been using their equity to make progress on the project while we were completing the funding.
And how far along is that progress? It's substantial.
Yeah. Perhaps people are a little bit surprised because we were focused on the funding. We were talking about what we were doing, but we weren't necessarily quantifying it for people. So, as I said, we're sort of 45% complete. Last dry season we finished the road, and then this dry season we've actually had our Griz, our EPC contractor. We've had them on site since April and doing all the civil works. Kimberley, wet season, so you do have to think about when you do work. So what it's enabled us to do is manage the seasons a bit better. If you have the money, you can sort of pick and choose when you do, particularly the civil type work. So it's worked really well for us.
Why is this project so compelling, and what market is it feeding into?
Yeah, so markets-wise, mineral sands really two main products typically, and they are for us. So you use zircon, which is the largest product by value, and then ilmenite, which is titanium dioxide feedstock, is the largest by volume. We're selling them as concentrates, but ultimately that's the valuable material in those concentrates. Both of them, slightly different, but titanium dioxide is mainly used it's an opacifier. It's what makes things like paint non-transparent, so it goes into paint, plastics and paper and some other things. Zircon, main application ceramics, again opacifier, but there's also some foundry and chemical applications. So the way people often think about them is they're sort of late cycle commodities. They're much more driven by consumption type trends than perhaps like industrial construction, industrial production, or like construction, like some of the other commodities are.
And the project itself, it has compelling economics?
Yeah, it definitely does. So at FID, on a 100% basis, stage 1 and stage 2 combined is 1.4 billion MPV, just under 27% IRR. We're a 50% shareholder with our partner Yansteel, so our share of that's about $700 million against a market cap today of somewhere around the 180 million mark. So there's definitely a disconnect between the compelling value of the asset versus, particularly for someone who's in construction and funded, versus perhaps market value.
What's the market missed? Like you said, you're in construction, you're fully funded. Is it that the commodity is less well known, or they didn't realise how advanced you'd be, or they thought maybe there would be a big equity component to the funding, so just sit back and relax? But now they've got to take notice. Yeah,
I think, look, like a lot of funding projects isn't easy, and the project's been around for a while, and I think there's always, even though we'd maintained for some time that we wouldn't need to do an equity raise, we sold a few non-core assets earlier this year, so we had to put a little bit of equity in at FID, but we had the cash in our bank balance, as it were. And I think there's always a bit of that scepticism about those things, and ultimately we've delivered that. I think we're starting to see, the share price has moved up a little bit since FID, and it might take a little bit of time for that to play out. But I consider the project sort of largely de-risked now. Probably the hardest thing to do on any development projects, get the funding in place.
And as I said, funding in place, construction significantly underway. Where to from here? What should investors be looking at over the next 6 to 12 months as further markers of success?
Yeah, so sort of main catalysts in the sort of near term. So in construction already, we're looking at completing construction second half of next year. About a year from now, we should be commissioning, and then so production starting before the end of 23. First shipments to customers in early 24. I always think first shipment's the key one, because that's when you start to see cash come in rather than rather than go out. So, you know, over that sort of 15 months from here, it's very much a build, commission, you know, sell the first of the product.
Big project, great jurisdiction, strong offtake partner, fully funded, construction underway, exciting times ahead for Sheffield and its shareholders. Bruce, thanks for your time.
Thank you very much. Cheers.